Hi, welcome to a session that I'm going to call Yoga for Before Bed. And it contains some of the stuff that I used to find useful when I used to have a full-time corporate job. And I would find that sometimes in the evening, I would be physically tired and wanting to go to bed, but my brain would still be racing. So it would be hard to get brain to switch off, even though body wanted to be still. So this is just an amalgamation of things that I would do if I was feeling that way. And if you're feeling that way right now, then hopefully they will work for you. If it isn't your bedtime, but you just fancy taking a bit of time to yourself, then great, this should work well for you as well. So stuff that I've got with me are a yoga strap. You could use perhaps a dressing gown belt would be a good alternative, or a clothing belt. And I've got like 3 cushions just off my sofa, scatter cushions. Doesn't really matter how big or small they are. We just kind of work that out when we get there. So a few of those. You might want perhaps a blanket as well. If it's not particularly warm where you are, we'll be still for a while at the end of class, so your body temperature might drop. So if you have just had one of those stressful days, which has left your mind racing, possibly you've been spending a bit of time in that sort of computer type posture. So let's do some stuff to unwind tension around your neck first. And before we just go into mobilizing or stretching that stuff, I want to do something to very quickly switch on the muscles. That you might feel this maybe along kind of tops of shoulders, perhaps a little bit sides of neck. So grab your strap and come up to stand and hold the strap behind you so that if I was standing in front of you, I could see your fingernails and the backs of your hands are facing behind you. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do first. I got this off my teacher, Jill, and then we'll do it again together, because once you're in it, you probably won't be able to see your screen. So first of all, I'm going to draw my shoulders away from my ears. I'm standing tall, and then I'll fold forwards. You might want to bend your knees a little bit. That might make that more comfortable. And I'm going to take the strap up towards the ceiling. And for some of you, it stopped kind of here. It might go up towards the ceiling. You might find if you take your hands a little bit wider apart on the strap that your arms start to come over behind you. So the angle that my arms are at relative to my spine now, I'm going to try and keep them like that as I come back up. So as you come up, your arms are going to want to drop. I want you to try and keep them lifted. You might find you get kind of stuck here. If your head is still jutting forwards, then let your arms drop just enough to allow you to bring head back into its normal position. Okay, so grab strap. Check that when you look down, you can see your fingernails and not the backs of your hands. Inhale, stand tall. Exhale, draw your shoulders away from your ears and then fold forwards. Yeah, so your arms might move further than mine. They might not move as far. Both of those are okay. And just hold here for a couple of breaths. So if it feels okay in your neck to just let your head hang, then go for that. For your next couple of exhales, each time you breathe out, see if you can let your arms release a little further. So gravity, maybe, depending on arm position, might be helping you out here. And then try and keep your arms at that position as you start to gradually come back up. So if you move too fast, these muscles won't be able to take over the job of holding your arms up. If you move too slow, you might just feel like you're torturing yourself. So kind of somewhere in between. Make sure you get to a place where you're standing upright and then hold there for an extra breath and then let your arms drop. Maybe give shoulders a wiggle. Let's do that one more time, but with hands facing the other way. So switch the grip of your hands. So now when you look down, you can see the backs of your hands and not your fingernails. Inhale, stand tall. Exhale, fold forwards. Maybe have a bit of a bend in your knees, a little or a lot, and then just lift your arms up until they stop.
And when you feel like they're not going to move any further, slowly start to bring yourself back up. Feel how rapidly your arms start to say, can I come down? Can I come down? Can I come down? Keep telling them they have to stay up for a little bit longer. Stack your head up on top of your spine, lift your chest, inhale there. Exhale, come down. Nice. Give shoulders a wiggle. Okay. And then put the strap to one side. You can do this next bit standing, or you can sit. If you're going to sit, I want you to sit in a way where your spine is in neutral, so that inward curve is there. So if that's hard for you to get when you sit on the floor, you could sit on a chair, you could stand. I'm going to sit down on my heels. Okay, so I want you to find your collarbone. Let's start with your left side. So for me, I'm just going to pull my vest down a bit. So my collarbone stands out quite a lot. That's not to do with like being big or small. That's just the way my body is made. But if for you, you're kind of feeling around here and you can't feel a bone sticking out, try shrugging that shoulder forwards. You might see when I do that, it makes mine stick out even more. So run your fingers along your collarbone. And when you get to the bit where it sort of disappears into your shoulder, just drop off the top. So now you're in soft tissue. So we're going to do a soft tissue release technique on your neck. So press down into that soft tissue with your, maybe your forefinger and middle finger. Keep pressing down, and now tilt your head over to the right. And then come back up. So with your fingers, we're going to gradually trace a line up to the base of your ear. So shift just a couple of millimeters kind of in towards your neck. Press down. Keep pressing. And then tilt. Come back up. Shift a little bit. Press down. Tilt head away. Come back up. Press down. Tilt head away. And come back up. And just gradually working your way up to base of neck. And when you get to sort of underneath your ear, you'll find that you suddenly hit like a bony lump, part of your skull, and the pressing down is not going to work anymore. And then release that and just pause for a moment. Notice if the two sides of your neck feel the same or different. And then just to keep checking in with that, try turning your face to one side and then to the other side. It might feel easier to turn one way. It might feel more difficult. And then tilt one way, tilt the other way. You may be able to feel some difference in the sides of your neck. You might not, that would be okay too. And then let's do the other side. So left, right shoulder, my left shoulder, your right. Locate your collarbone, shrug your shoulder forwards if you need to find that. And then just where it disappears into your shoulder, kind of drop off the top. Press your fingers down. And then tilt your head away. Come back up, shift your fingers just slightly closer towards your neck. Come back up, shift. Come back up. So if it feels okay, you're pressing reasonably firmly. So what we're doing here is like pinning some of the top layer of tissues just underneath your skin by pressing down, but then forcing the underneath layers to glide past each other by moving your head. So we're trying to get rid of any adhesions, any stickiness between these layers of you that are meant to be able to glide past each other. And then when you get to that bony bit, base of skull, come back up, release, just notice you can maybe feel your neck. And again, just compare, how does it feel turning face to one side and then the other? Does the neck feel the same or does it feel any freer? And then tilt head one way and then the other. Okay, great. If you've been sitting on your heels like me, or even if you haven't, you might just straighten your legs out in front of you now, give your legs a wiggle. If you have been sitting on heels, we've been sitting on feet for a while. Then staying in this just sat on floor position, as you inhale, push the floor away, lift your chest up. Think about squeezing shoulder blades towards each other. Exhale, slouch. Inhale, lift chest up. Exhale, slouch. Inhale, lift. Exhale, slouch. Great. Make your way to child's pose if that's comfortable. So that's bum back on heels. If this isn't comfortable, what we're going to do, you can do from all fours as well. So you could come to hands and knees first. You could come to hands and knees as well. I will show the child's pose version first, and then I'll show all fours. So you can just watch out for whichever's relevant. So from whichever position you're in, keep legs where they are, but walk hands a step over to the left. And I want you to reach as far as you can with your right hand, but you're kind of creeping it along the floor. And when you can't reach any further, with your fingertips, grip the floor and pull the floor back towards you. You might, depending on how you've placed your arms and your proportions, be able to rest your head on your right arm and think about breathing into your right side. So if that's you in position, stay as you are. If you were on all fours, then just walk your hands around a quarter circle. And again, reach with your right arm. Breathing into right side. Take one more deep breath in. As you breathe out, walk your hands back onto your mat. So back to child's pose or all fours. And then same thing, other side. So walk hands a big step over to other side, or if you're on all fours, you're walking around in a quarter circle in the other direction. Really reach with your left hand. When you can't reach any further, with your fingertips, grip the floor. And gently pull the floor back towards you, even as you press your left ribs out into more of a curve. Take one more deep inhale. Exhale, walk your hands back onto your mat. And then same thing. Let's come to sit on your bum. Prop yourself up on your hands. As you inhale, push the floor away, lift your chest up. Exhale, slouch. Inhale, push floor away, lift chest up. Exhale, slouch. One more of those, just in time of your own breath. So easing out any tension across front of shoulders, switching on back muscles a bit, and just moving spine through some of its range of motion. Great. Just grab your cushions. So you might be familiar with a yoga pose, seated forward fold. So we just sit with legs straight in front of you and lean forwards. I want to do a slightly different version where you might feel a bit of a stretch in the back of your legs and along your back, but I don't want it to mainly be about stretching legs. I want you to have enough support underneath the backs of your knees by way of cushions that when you lean forwards, you can rest your torso on your thighs. So that might be a lot of support, it might not be very much. Either of those is okay. But make sure your knees are at least bent a bit. And for me, as you can see, mine are bent quite a lot. So prop yourself up on your fingertips from here. Sit tall for a moment. Then see if you can draw your shoulder blades down away from your ears. So you might need to bend your elbows a little bit to do that. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, start to tilt forwards over your legs. Try and position yourself so that your torso is properly resting on your thighs. And this might be the point where you realize you need some more cushions. That's okay, you can come out and grab them. So for some of you, you might find that you can just rest your head on your legs. And that's comfy. You might prefer to maybe bend your elbows, prop your elbows on your legs, and then rest your forehead in your hands. You might prefer, if you have a block or perhaps another cushion handy, to rest your forehead on your block. If it feels reasonable for you and it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, maybe let's have eyes closed. See if your head can be supported sufficiently that now you can relax neck and shoulders. So with eyes closed and facing down towards the floor, the world is now a little bit darker than when you're sitting upright with eyes open. If eyes closed and leaning this far forward feels at all claustrophobic, you can back out. If it feels like you're just kind of relaxing into giving yourself a hug, see if for your next couple of exhales, each time you breathe out, you can release a little more. So that might be around neck and shoulders, maybe belly muscles, maybe your jaw, perhaps your hands. And try and breathe down into your belly. So as you inhale, you're making belly press more firmly against legs. And as you exhale, that pressure subsides. Slow, unhurried breaths. And just very, very gradually in your own time, start to lift your head again and maybe use your arms to push yourself up to sit. Lean back on your hands again. Keep your eyes closed if you like. Might perhaps circle feet. And just drop your head over to the right, like you're trying to rest your right ear on your right shoulder. And then bring head back up and drop it over to the left. And then come back up. Let's remove the cushions. So just check in now that you're warm enough, and you'll be warm enough lying on the floor for a while. So you may want to put on maybe an extra jumper, a pair of socks, once you've got that. Or if you were warm enough already, lie down on your back. Let's shift your bum just a little bit over to the right so you end up lying slightly wonky. Straighten your left leg. Bring right knee into chest and put your left hand on that knee. Then take your right arm out. Either you could have it out wide at shoulder height. You could have it straight overhead. I like it kind of somewhere in between. So it's almost pointing out at about 45 degrees to my spine. Take an inhale. Exhale, take your top knee across your body into a twist. So you might find that you want to grab perhaps a cushion or two and prop it underneath your top leg. Maybe underneath knee or shin, so you've got something to rest on. If your cushions aren't quite high enough, don't strain to get your leg low enough to rest on them. And then perhaps try turning your face to the right for a couple of breaths. See how that feels, maybe around neck, shoulders, chest. And then turn face to the ceiling. Is that more or less comfortable than turning face to the right? Then turn your face to the left. So looking away from your top arm. Decide which head position you like best. And take 3 more breaths there. And then when you are done, untwist yourself. Turn face to look to the center again. Bring hips back to center. Hug both your knees into your chest. Just give yourself a squeeze and rock a little bit side to side. And bring your feet down enough to allow you to shift hips a bit over to left. Straighten right leg. Left knee into chest, opposite hand on that knee. Take your left arm out, either at shoulder height or overhead or somewhere in between. Take an inhale, exhale, take top knee across. And again, you may want to bring your cushions down to rest that leg on. Turn your face to look towards the left side of your room. And then turn face to look to the ceiling. Just breathing slow. And lastly, turn your face to look to the right. A couple of breaths like that. Decide which head position you prefer. And take 3 breaths there. When we're done, bring your head back to center if it's not already there, and then untwist. Bring hips back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock a little side to side. And bring your feet down onto the floor. And make sure that your head is resting comfortably on the floor. So I've got a bun in my hair. I'm just going to take that out. Rest your hands on your lower belly. So kind of belly button level or lower. And try and find a position where elbows are on the floor and hands are resting on you so arms can relax. Feel your breath moving underneath your hands. And just observe which parts of your back touch the floor and which parts don't. And try to sense that inward curve in your lower back. So lower back curves a bit away from the floor. And then just very slightly make this like perhaps a quarter of the maximum motion it could be. As you inhale, slightly arch lower back away from the floor. And as you exhale, flatten lower back into the floor. Inhale, increase arch in lower back. Exhale, flatten lower back. Keep on going with that. So inhale to increase the curve. And exhale to flatten it. So what you're doing here is tilting the top edge of your pelvis up towards the ceiling. That increases the curve. And then down towards floor, that flattens the curve. And because your spine runs down and blends into your pelvis, as you're tilting pelvis, it's taking the rest of your spine along for a ride. So you might even feel that by moving your pelvis and your lower back like this, it's adjusting the position of your head. So as you inhale and increase the curve in your lower back, it will tend to make your chin nod down towards your chest. And as you exhale and flatten back into the floor, your chin will tend to lift a bit. And then just gradually start to let that rocking decrease. Until your spine settles into a position where lower back is kind of halfway between those two extremes of more curve and more flat. Let's grab your cushion. You might want one, you might want two. We're going to lift your bum up and just slightly raise your hips relative to your chest. So my cushions are kind of flat, so I'm going to go with two. If you are used to doing like bridge pose on a block, this isn't the same, so you don't want it that high. Just a little bit of extra height. So we're in a very, very mild inversion here, where your heart is raised up relative to your head. You might want to experiment with just wiggling your feet a little bit further apart and letting your knees knock in. If your knees don't touch, then your feet might be too far apart. If legs don't feel comfortable here, you could try straightening your legs along the floor. If you do that and it feels a bit much in your lower back, then just rebend them. I'm going to stick with knees bent. I prefer that. Then bring your hands back onto your belly if they weren't there already. And start to try and breathe down into your belly. So the movement of your breath in your chest is minimal, if anything at all. As you inhale, belly expands up into your hands. Hands will get pushed up and maybe a bit apart. As you exhale, it just sinks back down towards floor. And spend just a couple of minutes trying to breathe into 3 different areas of your torso. And then we'll loop them all together. So just remembering what it feels like to be breathing down into belly. And then shift your hands up until they're on your lower ribs. And take them a bit apart so they're on the sides of your lower ribs. And now as you inhale, try and push your hands wider apart with your ribs, with your breath. As you exhale, ribs just sink back in towards each other. Inhale, increasing the circumference of rib cage. Exhale, decreasing it. So now breathing into lower ribs. And if belly's moving, it's just coming along for the ride passively. And then let's keep breathing slow, but now shift your hands up to your chest. So your fingers might be resting kind of on or near your collarbones. And as you inhale, try and make your chest, and so your hands rise up towards your chin. Exhale, let chest subside. Inhale, chest lifts and swells. Steady exhale. One more of those. Exhale, chest deflates. And then just bring your arms to a comfortable resting position. So that might be by your side. It might be resting on you somewhere. So now we're going to bring those three different types of breathing in together. And first of all, I'm going to ask you to inhale into your belly, just a little bit, and then pause. And then without exhaling, we'll take a bit more of an inhale into your ribs and pause. A bit more of an inhale into your chest and pause. And then we'll take one long, slow exhale. So let's start by breathing out. And then inhale a bit into belly, pause. Inhale up into ribs, pause. Inhale chest, pause. Long exhale. Inhale belly, pause. Inhale ribs, pause. Inhale chest, pause. Exhale. Inhale belly. Inhale ribs. Inhale chest. 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 Exhale. If you like that, you can keep doing it. If you've had enough, let it go. Just feeling feet on the floor, back of head, arms, the support under your bum.
And then just very gently, when you are ready, lift your hips just enough to allow you to slide the cushions out. Bring bum back onto the floor. And let spine settle back into neutral again. If you want to just stay where you are a bit longer, you are welcome to do that. If you just had this exact segment of time set aside, not yet, we're almost up against it. You are going to come up just one at a time, bring both knees into your chest. And just rock side to side a little. Then take your right arm kind of overhead by your right ear. Roll over onto your right hand side so your arm is a pillow for your head. Then, as you're ready, push down into the floor with your left hand. Bring yourself up to sit. Bring one hand to belly, one hand to chest. And see if you can let the movement of your breath drop down to be more underneath your lower hand. You could stay like that, or you could bring your palms together to finish. Take an inhale here. Exhale, drop your chin. Thank you very much.